Class, you are welcome to physics class online. Kindly like this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Well, in my previous class, I said that in this class I'll be looking into measurement of time, measurement of time, mass and weight and so on. But I felt that there is something very important that I need students to understand as we proceed in our classes. Many students find physics very difficult. I don't know, they felt physics is just difficult. So today, I want to quickly share with us how to study physics. How to study physics. Please, I want you to follow this lesson to the end, and I believe that at the end of this class, you will get the right knowledge on how to study physics. And if you apply what I'm telling you accordingly, you will be better in physics. All right, let's go to the class. Now, the content of our study, that at the end of this lesson, I'll be telling you the 5 things that you need to know as far as physics is concerned. And those 5 things is: number 1, try to keep up. And if you fall behind, prioritize recovery. When you get to class and a topic is taught in class and you discover that you don't understand that concept, so which means you are falling behind. Don't just fall behind, make sure you look for a way to recover that particular class. Number 2, drill yourself on the core concepts. Every topic in physics explains certain concepts, so you need to understand the concept of that particular topic. So you need to drill yourself on the concept. Number 3, you need to brush up on your maths. Physics and mathematics cannot be separated. If you have a foundational problem in mathematics, definitely it's going to affect how you perform in physics. So therefore, number 3, you need to brush up your mathematics. Number 4, you need to think conceptually. There are problems in physics that we need to solve, but how we solve those problems is by thinking conceptually. You think in line with the concept of that topic before you can address that question accordingly. Then number 5, get in the study zone. You cannot afford to study as far as physics is concerned. So I will be going into details of those 5 points as I proceed. Now let's move. How to study physics. There are key 5 strategies. I have mentioned those 5 strategies, but let's start. Well, physics is a tough subject that requires an open mind and the right approach. So I'll give you 5 favorite strategies for studying physics. Number 1, I said try to keep up, and if you fall behind, prioritize recovery. Now, physics is one of those subjects like mathematics that scaffolds its knowledge outward and upward from a core foundation. If you miss just one piece of information, the structure can become shaky and unstable, which can make life hard for you all semester long, or all the time, all the session along. Physics are built on foundation. It is one step after the other, after the other. If you miss one piece of information along the line, the foundation becomes shaky. You cannot afford to miss any concept. That is why when we teach students in class, we always want the students to have full concentration. A student that does not concentrate fully in class will not be able to get the full concept of topics, because if you miss any of those concepts as the teacher is teaching you in class, it will make your foundation shaky as far as physics is concerned. Now let's proceed. Now, it is important to approach physics with discipline, to keep up with assigned readings, to practice problems regularly, and to review older content daily so that it doesn't fade away from memory. Some of you, when they teach you a topic, you think you know it. Good, you know it at that moment. But there is something about education or learning. If you don't go back to it to revise and to practice, you won't master. Even the one that you've mastered, you will forget with time. So there are some powerful study tips in order to hasten physics. So I'll give you those powerful tips. Number one, review the relevant textbook chapters ahead of the class. Learn to read ahead of class. Write down the most salient points so that your brain is primed to learn when you attend class, and so that you can actually use the class time to pay attention and ask questions. That is why teachers will always give students the scheme of work for the term. The purpose of the scheme of work is the students to work with that scheme of work so that they can read ahead of class. So that when they get to class, they will have prepared their mind to listen, and then they will be able to ask questions from the class. Then number two, practice all the problem sets in the textbook, making sure you understand them on a conceptual level. Also, come back regularly to practice them. And not only that, any other questions you can lay your hands on, don't just leave it. Just keep solving those questions regularly. That is why I, as the person, when I teach my students some concept, I'll give them a lot of calculations. Just go and solve those problems. A lot of them. Is the purpose is because when you practice and practice and practice, you master the concept better. So those are the tips. Now, if you don't understand something, ask your teacher, ask your tutor. If you cannot ask your teacher, you can ask your smart nerd friend to help you. Your friend in the class that know that you know that knows that subject better. Ask this friend to help you. But don't waste time doing that. Address any knowledge gap quickly, or else any subsequent knowledge built upon that foundation will become shaky. Anything you don't understand, quickly ask questions and make sure you get it right. Because when the next topic comes in, the next topic is building on that foundation. And if you don't get the right foundation, your foundation becomes shaky, because when the next topic comes and it unfolds, the subject becomes more difficult. Now, dedicate a little time every day to review the content covered in previous lectures so that you don't forget it. Make sure you read every day. Every content you are taught in class, review it every day. Number two, drill yourself on the core concept. Physics topics are conceptual in nature. They are topics based on certain concepts. After you have done your reading, make sure you retain the concept by drilling yourself on the main ideas, definitions, and formulas you have encountered on that topic. Having this fundamental concept memorized before you go into the next class or next lecture will help you follow what is going on in the class. By the time you get to the class, you get a better understanding of the next class, because you have the fundamental concept memorized. Number three, brush up on your maths. Sometimes the root of your physics problem is not the physics itself, but it was the case with me when I was in secondary school. Then, when at an initial stage having issue with physics, I thought it was physics, but it was actually mathematics, until I was able to brush up the mathematics and get it right in mathematics. That is when I began to get it right in physics. So the further you advance in physics, the more you will encounter mathematical problems or mathematical process you thought you have left behind you. By the time you go higher and you advance in physics, you will be facing algebra. You'll be seeing algebra, trigonometry, calculus, those topics you have left behind. That is why physics and mathematics, they go pari passu. You cannot separate one from the other. So most of the problems students encountered in physics is not because of physics itself, but because of mathematics. So your teacher is going to assume, that's what happens, that's how physics teachers does. It's going to assume that you are proficient in all the maths you need to cope with the content they are throwing at you. We believe that you know the mathematics, so by the time we are throwing the concept to you, we already believe that you have the mathematical knowledge to comprehend. So if you struggle with maths and it is tipping you up in physics class, don't hope for the problem to go away. If mathematics is a challenge to you, don't think the problem you are facing physics will just go like that. So you need to deal with the root, which is the mathematics. Because being the language of science, you can't afford to ignore a rusty math skill. If your mathematical skill is not good, you can't afford to just ignore it. You need to work on your mathematics because that is how you'll be able to do better in physics. All right. Rather, you can ask someone, your friend, or a fellow student, or a math tutor to help you go through those some particular math problems that you are having issues with. There are some aspects, some topics in mathematics you are not getting right. Tell someone, get a tutor to teach you those particular areas. And then when you return to physics class, you'll be able to focus on physics and study wholly proficiently. Now, number 4, think conceptually. I said that in physics, topics in physics are concepts, and you must understand the concept. And once you understand the concept, when you're solving calculation in physics, you need to think in line with the concept of the topic. Now, whether you are searching for a unified field theory or studying the basic dynamics of force or motion, taking a conceptual approach to learning physics can help you break down your problems into a series of basic steps. Focus on the fundamentals, but keep the big picture in the back of your mind. So, bringing together concept into the unified understanding of the problem at hand makes finding a solution much easier. Sometimes when I go to class, I'll be telling my students, physics is simple. And they will just be looking like this. Do I mean it? Some students will say, yes, it's simple. While some will still be looking that it's difficult. And that is why when you approach physics problem, you need to think conceptually. All right. Now, remember that knowledge in physics is built on a series of conceptual stepping stones, the fundamental principles and laws of the universe that allow exploration of a huge range of topics. Success depends on a firm knowledge of this basic and a flexible mind that can assess these rules and determine when and how to apply them to, to a given problem. There are some concepts in physics. Physics will teach you concept, will give you formula. But those formula are not just used raw like that. We apply those formula based on the concept of that topic. So it is the concept of the topic that informs our knowledge on how to approach, how to use the formula in approaching a particular problem and solving it. So you have to stop beating your head against the wall, and instead of that, use the conceptual building block to break through. And if you get snagged, walk backward to determine where you went astray. So you need to get the concept right. Then number 5, get in the study zone. You cannot afford to keep studying. Now, like many subjects, but perhaps particularly those subjects you are having difficulty with, a mastery of physics requires uninterrupted daily studying. Figure out how and where you get your best studying done and work that into your daily routine so that you can spend a little time every day. All right. Now, number 5, the last one, I will tell you something. Review what you have learned that day. After the end of the class, go through, just review. What have you learned that day? Now, number 2, consolidate your study notes. Check your study note, get points, consolidate it, get some points out of it. Then number 3, run through some samples problem sets. What are the examples the teacher set in class? Go through those examples sets, then apply it to some of the examples even in your textbooks. Then by doing that, then prepare for the next class. So by the time you prepare for the next class, you have gotten a foundational knowledge of that topic. It will help you so that when the teacher comes into the next class, you'll be able to build on that foundation and you won't have any problem with physics. Now, a final note. Know that physics can be easy if you stay on track. Physics may appear to be clothed in all kinds of complex formulas, equations, theorems, and law, but at its core, physics makes sense. More than that, it actually helps you understand why stuff happen. When I throw two objects of different masses and I throw them down, you discover that the two objects, irrespective of their mass, is going to fall at the same rate. Physics explains why is that happens. So physics helps you, gives you a glimpse into how things fundamentally work at all level of molecules, subatomic particles, and subatomic particles. So physics is interesting. So you can know physics if you follow all the steps that I'm beginning to you. Now what this means is that physics can be made easy if you stay on track. And that is the mindset you might try to apply when you are learning this subject. Now, by the time you come to class and they give you questions to solve and calculations, I want to quickly tell you there are some 6 steps you need to follow when you are solving calculation in physics. Number 1, understand the concept of the topic. Understand the concept of the topic. When the teacher is explaining the concept of the topic, I don't advise students to now be writing notes, just be copying notes. At that point, you need to listen and jot points. Understand the concept of the topic. Then number 2, know the formulas associated with the topic. For instance, if the teacher teach you equation of motion under gravity, and the teacher tells you that when I throw an object up, at maximum height, velocity is 0. That is the concept of the topic. Then the teacher will give you equation of motion under gravity saying V equals to U plus or minus GT. Now, the GT plus or minus, when do you use plus? When do you use minus? What are the concepts associated and the formula? Those are the things you note down. Then number 3, identify the parameters of the formula as given in the question. If distance was given in the question, and in that equation of motion, if distance represents s, for instance, v equals to s over t. In that formula, v is speed, s is distance, and t is time. If a student represents s, d with distance, and you are using equation of motion where you have s or v equals to u, and you are having equation of motion where you are using v equals to s over t, you won't be able to relate v equals to s over t with d that you are using to represent distance in your own context. So you need to identify the parameters of the formula as given in the question or as explained in the context or in the context of the topic. Then number 4, convert all parameters to SI unit, because in physics we deal with unit and measurement. So if the unit is not correct, your result will also be wrong. So always convert to the SI unit. Then number 5, write down the appropriate formulas and apply the formulas in accordance with the concept of the topic. Then number 6, after you have gotten your result, put appropriate unit to the answer. I believe you understood this topic already. So if you understood this topic, please, I want you to go over all these things I have mentioned in this topic. So next class, I will proceed to the next topic. So make sure you like this video. Like this video. The more you like this video, that is when people will have access to this video, and many people will have access to it, because there's something about YouTube. The more you like the video, the more they help to publish that video, so that everybody will have, many people will have access to benefit of this from this video. Please like this video, and at the same time subscribe and hit the notification bell. See you next class. Thanks, and God bless you. Fine. Bye.